Hi, everybody. My name's Judy, and I'm a recovered alcoholic and an addict. And I am happy to be here. Um, my sobriety date is February 5th, 2006. So I haven't found it necessary to pick up a drink or a drug in 19 years. I closed out my 19th year, February 5th. So as my friends and I like to say, I'm knee deep in my 20th year right now. It's just a joke, but Um, I have a couple of different home groups. Um, but in every home group that I'm in, there's a lot of involvement with helping other people stay sober, obviously. And with I mean, that's the fifth tradition to the purpose of any group is to carry the message to the alcoholic who still suffers and or the addict that still suffers. And you can be suffering with 14 years or 14 minutes. This is a wicked, wicked illness. And I've had it ever since I can remember. Um, a little bit about my ism. I um, I was always very selfish, self-consumed. It didn't look like selfishness, like it didn't look like the selfishness. I was never not a sharer. Like I wasn't one of those kids in school that wouldn't share. I never had to be taught to share. So it's not that kind of selfishness. The kind of selfishness that developed into a spiritual soul sickness for me was that I can't stop thinking about myself, my plans, my designs, what I think you're thinking about me. And it's not really in an egomaniacal way. I'm 9. It's in a very protective, afraid way. I just never learned how to think about other people. I only learned how to look at the world from my own perspective through my own experience. I, me, my, and I thought that that was the end of the story. Always thought that that was the end of the story. Always living in kind of like a survival mode. So if I'm frightened that I'm going to lose something I have or not get something I want, I don't have time nor the inclination to worry about whether or not you're okay. And I lived my life that way. That for me is this disease. That I was always in a position where I could make excuses for why I wasn't able to care about why you were okay. And I bought every story I told myself. Well, you don't understand, I grew up in a violent household. Well, you don't understand. My father hit my mother. Well, you don't understand. I had a reason for why I was too busy, too wounded, too preoccupied, um, to worry about you and your needs and what you might need, unless I needed you to join me in worrying about me. And then I would figure out a way to connect with you so that I can get you into my circle to start worrying about me too, to start taking care of me too. You know, so this plastic bag that I wore over my head for most of my life, not allowing me to breathe because I could see through it. I wasn't very much aware of the distance between you and me and you and God, me and God. So that's kind of this separation that I never really knew was there until I picked up a drink and a drug. And then all of a sudden, I felt like the bag came off and I could breathe and I could really connect and really be present. Alcohol and drugs was a solution for me. It allowed me to be in the moment, to be present, to be this devil may care chap, right? I could be that person who all of a sudden wasn't so concerned, wasn't making such a heavy going of life. I could actually be present. And that once I made that connection, then that's really, I couldn't wait to feel that again. I couldn't wait to feel this. I call it the drop my shoulders moment that I walk around all the time, not realizing that my shoulders are up and clenched. The problem with me, and I'm gonna, the problem with me is it didn't ever get fixed. I went to family counselors, psychological counselors. I saw psychs. I saw this. I saw it never got fixed. The problem of me worrying about me and thinking about me never got fixed. I went to church and back. I went from city to country and back. I've moved in different apartments. I've had different jobs. I've had different lovers. I've had moved away from my family. I stayed with my family. I sought counseling. I didn't seek counseling. It never went away. So I think that's the difference between me and other people, because every psychiatrist or psychologist that I went to would say, "Yeah, you're in this space because of the way you grew up." And then I'm like, "Okay, cool. So what's the solution for this?" And they're like, "Well, we're going to talk about it. And then I'm going to give you some ways to challenge those thoughts when they come up. And then that's what we call cognitive behavioral therapy. And then you should be able to put an interference on that thought process. And then you're going to learn to do that over time and get better." Never worked for me. And I did everything they asked me to do, and it never worked for me. So now I'm bewildered, right? Because it's like, okay, I went to church and I did all that stuff. And then I went to counseling. So that's the funky disposition of the alcoholic addict or the addict, is that what I have, this dis-ease, the things that happened to me really happened to me. Sexual abuse really happened. What went on in my family actually really happened. But it happened to a lot of people, and they're not snorting cocaine off a toilet tank in a dive bar hoping that it's not mixed with something. They go to the counselor, and for some reason they get better. I went to the counselor and I didn't get better. That's the point I'm trying to make. That the disposition and the things that happened in my life were not good. I mean, tragedy or um, bad luck or whatever you want to, that happens to every human being. No one on the planet who's a human is going to avoid suffering or horrible things happening, but they didn't take it to where I took it. Other people don't take it to where I took it. And so I think that's what makes recovering with these 12 steps so amazing, because nothing else worked. And I tried everything else. And even when I thought I was trying abstinence for a period of time, while I was trying abstinence, I was doing other things. I mean, I've even volunteered, like, to do volunteer work for different things. So it's not even that service to other people is really the solution to my problem either. Like, I did things that were on purpose, that were unselfish, but even that didn't work. Nothing worked until I came into the fellowship where I was with other addicts and alcoholics like me, and my purpose, my life's purpose, came into focus. That it's great that I volunteer at a soup kitchen 3 nights a week to feed the hungry people, and it makes me technically not really a selfish person. But if I'm not working with other alcoholics and addicts intensively to try and get them to have what I have, then I'm not gonna be okay. So on page 89 in the big book, it talks about how nothing will ensure um, ensure immunity from drinking and drugging, obviously, than work with other intensive work with other alcohol. It works when other method activities fail. What other activities fail? Well, how many of us have relapsed on this Zoom call? Think to yourself, how many times have you tried to pray yourself out of a relapse, to shower yourself out of a relapse, to shop yourself out of a relapse, to pick up the phone and call somebody to have them talk you out of a relapse? How many times have you how many times have you been on your knees and prayed and said, "Please don't let me drink or use," and then in an hour you're drunk and using? Those are the activities that fail. Intensive work with another is what works no matter what. No matter what. So that's the difference. I'm the profundity of what I'm saying right now is really just hitting me now. That the reality for me is that Nothing works. And when women come to me and they ask me, will you sponsor me, or I'm struggling, or, I can't get me off of me, or they're having a hard time in the fellowship, the first question I ask is, who are you sponsoring? And I don't mean that one girl that's got 15 years that calls you once a week. That's not sponsorship. When I ask you who you're sponsoring, I'm asking you, who are you intensively working with? And if you're not physically intensively working with someone, where are you offering yourself to work with other people and to help them stay sober and stay clean and sober and put a life together? Because the truth for me is, if I'm not doing that, I can expect to receive nothing from the 12-step fellowship, nothing. And what it says in how it works is, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. And then they proceed to tell me precisely what they did. And there's a reason for that for me. Precisely what they did is because that's precisely what they did in order to get what they got, which was a life where they experienced much of heaven. A life that they were rocketed into the fourth dimension of existence, a life where they're walking a broad highway with the spirit of the universe. That life. I have more good days than I have bad days. I still have bad days, but I will tell you something. Almost 85% of the time that I'm having bad days, I can look at an inventory of my day and find selfishness, self-centeredness, and isolation in the recipe for why I'm not doing right. Have I done my morning prayer? Am I really open to sponsoring other women? I can say it and this is my experience. I have said it with my mouth, like, I just don't have anybody right now. I mean, I'm asking God to send me people, but nobody's really coming right now. But deep down in my belly, I don't care if I don't get a sponsee, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I'd rather not do all of the things that, I mean, what does it say in there as a solution, right? I mean, they're not talking about helping other people, but almost none of us liked. And that's, I mean, basically the program, right? It says almost none of us liked the self-searching and the admission of our wrongs and the, all of that stuff. But we saw that it worked for others, and we realized that we had to do that, otherwise we would fall by the wayside. To try with a will or fall by the wayside, right? So to this point, almost always when someone's asking me for help, or when I'm coming to somebody and I'm crooked, it's because I'm either not working with someone, there's an amends that I have to make that I haven't made, and I can still make amends, obviously, in recovery, because I'm still hurting people. I still have a mouth that can cut you to ribbons from time to time. And if I'm not keeping track of this stuff, then I'm walking around, I'm traveling heavy. I'm walking around bogged down, clogged up, and I can't, when I'm bogged down, clogged up, there's no flow of spirit. There's no flow of inspiration in my life. And I'm traveling, that Peter M says that I'm traveling heavy. I feel like I've got like a wet sheet on my body, and I'm trying to maneuver through life. So that's really the cornerstone of my entire, the foundation of my entire life today at 19 years sober. Is how willing I'm asking God to help me be to help somebody else recover and experience this freedom. My freedom's not free. This freedom wasn't free. It comes at a price, right? It said simple but not easy, a price had to be paid. And it meant the destruction of self. It means that I've got to figure out a way to put myself in the background and put God in the foreground. That's what these steps are for. I'm like, that's what the steps are for. So I'm also, not that it matters for the purpose of this call, but it matters for you so that you can get to know me. I'm also a Roman Catholic. So we have rites and prayers and special devotions and things and all kinds of stuff that I can be doing, right? And I do some of them. I mean, but keep it simple, stupid. I mean, it's really with all of the knowledge that I know and all of the prayers that I've said in the last 19 years and the baptism and the stuff and the things that I've done to enlarge my spiritual life, nothing works as quickly, as succinctly, as specifically for my ism than these 12 steps. They never get old. They never expire. It's never a situation where, well, I'm 19 years now, so that continue to take personal inventory. And when I'm wrong, promptly admit it, it doesn't actually work anymore. No, it actually works. It actually works. The four steps that you take when you realize that something's popped up and you ask God to remove it immediately, then you discuss it with someone immediately, and then you ask God to turn you to somebody that you can help, turn your attention to somebody you can help. That actually works. It has worked every single time. And then if the action is necessitated, then you go and make the amends. I mean, that's the 10th step. KDP always says we walk the dog backwards, right? You pick up the phone, you call somebody, and you're like, where am I wrong? Because I don't feel right. I don't feel good. I'm irritated. I'm not resting when I'm resting. There's something annoying me. I feel like I didn't do anything wrong. I need somebody. That's why we discuss it with someone immediately so that we could go over it. And I could be like, shoot, I owe this lady an amends. I got to make that happen. Like it'll never fail to uncrooked the crooked, right? So, am I working with someone? Am I really willing, honest, open, ready to break out this book with the next person who asks me to have a new experience? And am I caught up on my amends? Am I carrying around stuff that I should have made an amends for? Do I owe anybody money that I haven't paid back? Were there things that God has laid on my heart to do? Hey, call Gina. Hey, call Tina. Make sure she's all right. These things come to me. That's as promised in morning meditation. Am I taking what I'm learning there, what I'm receiving there, and am I taking it into my life and doing it? Or am I just I mean, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. What used to be an occasional hunch or inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind, right? So I have to practice this stuff. And what ends up happening is it begins to come naturally. It begins to come naturally. I know when I can feel when I'm blocked. I can feel, and it's okay to say that I'm blocked. It's okay to be on this call with 8 years, 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, and say, I'm not feeling like this lady. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to a Zoom speaker or I've been in an in-person meeting and there was a woman who was talking to me about the freedom that she experienced, about the open line communication directly to the God that she loves is there and open, how she's living an inspired life most days. And I can't tell you how many times that I got off the Zoom call and I'm like, shit. Like I gotta talk to her because I'm not there. What is she doing that I'm not doing? I go to meetings with a little pen and I write stuff and I write stuff down and I say, I'm gonna do that. I think I should be doing that. I talk to my sponsor about it. I'd be like, listen, I'm mucked up. I'm going back to Mocus. That's not the life that we were designed to live. Not here. Not here. I I was at work today and they had the back door open. I live in New Jersey in the States, so it's like the northeast-ish kind of the United States. And I mean, spring is just beginning to spring. Like I think the highest our temperature got today was like 70 degrees, but it's coming around. It's getting a little bit warmer. And the back door was open where I work, and these birds are just birding, like chirping and flying around and it never gets old. Like maybe it'll never go away. That the second thought or the first thought I think is I remember hating the sound of those birds. I remember every blind drawn. I remember it being, I don't know what time outside with the lamp on and the blinds drawn and the table arrayed with cocaine and pipes and cigarettes, and I got clinchers in there that I'm trying to straighten out because I'm out of cigarettes, and those birds start chirping and I want to kill myself. I mean, I want to die. It's not, I mean, I'm not exaggerating, right? And so the novelty of hearing these birds chirp and have it actually mean a joyful, amazing thing to me, to have me actually be like, oh my gosh, they are symphonic today, right? Like the novelty of that hasn't worn off. We're not, by the time I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, or that's how I came into the 12-step fellowship, I had moved for like the sixth time in 18 months because I could not. So now my debacles are coming like closer and closer and closer. I used to have some space in between the trouble I was getting into, and now it's closing in. And it's like every time I drink and use it, something's happening. I'm getting fired. I'm getting called in the office. I'm getting into a fight with my roommate. I can't find my keys. I overdrew my account. Like bang, bang, bang every single time. Like I'm getting squeezed from like every direction, and there's nowhere I can go where I'm at with my friends group, right? Because they're all tired of my stuff, right? I don't have a driver's license, not because it's been revoked, but because I don't actually have a physical license. I have my driving privilege, but I don't have a physical license because I don't have any of the pieces of identification required to get a driver's license, because I'm so flagrant with anything that means anything. And I've moved 500 times that I don't have a birth certificate or a social security card. I have none of the things. I don't have a bank account. I have none of the things that normal people at 35 years old have. I have none of that. And I make a mess of my life, and I decide that I'm going to move back to like Central Jersey with my mom at 35 years old, like just full of shame and remorse. And I can't put days together, you know, doing ridiculous things, calling people that I haven't talked to in forever, looking for coke, looking for booze, just pick me up, take me out, because I don't have a car. I was ready to stop when I got here. I was ready to stop. I was ready to stop. And so I'm grateful that someone met my readiness with armed with the facts about themselves and about what's possible, so that there wasn't a lot of lag time for me to hang out and think about. Because if that would have happened, it wouldn't have taken long for me to catch my breath, get a good 16 hours in a row sleep, right? Sleep, and then wake up and have like two packs of ramen noodles with butter. And then all of the sudden, and a Diet Coke, and all of the sudden, I start to think, maybe I was making too big a deal out of everything. Like, we don't have to move. Let's not get crazy. We don't have to go to detox. Like, let's not get stupid. You had a bad run. You're going to be okay. Look, you're safe. Your parents are totally going to help you. You're totally going to be fine. Like, I knew, because that had happened so many times in my life, that I'm grateful that this time, they suggested that I go to a meeting, and I went to a meeting and I met people there that were armed with the facts about themselves. I had no idea what I was up against. I had no idea what I was up against. I thought I had an alcohol and drug problem. I had no idea that I had a soul sickness. I had no idea that I have a brain that malfunctions. I have a brain that tells me lies. I have a brain that manufactures bullshit about me and about the world, and I buy it. And when I buy it, I drink and use. I had to get out of my brain. I had to read in this book how the problem for the addict and the alcoholic centers in his mind, and what miracle is going to intervene on the way that I think. And it's that second step problem. I'm insane. Do I believe, or am I even willing to believe, that there's a power that can restore me to sanity, that can change whatever this is and just give me a beat in between the craziness to even breathe and make another decision. And that's what I found at the second step. The second step was yes, yes, yes. I could look at you guys and see that you're all right, that you're enjoying life, that you're not doing what I'm doing. And so, yes, I believe that there is a power greater than me that can restore me to sanity. And I agree that I'm insane because I mean, I'm 35 years old living on my mother's couch. And my best idea for how to get out of that situation is oodles of noodles and an 8-ball. Like something's wrong with this picture. So, I mean, I went to meetings and I found women who told me the truth about what I was up against. And I read this book and I did these steps. I couldn't wait to really make this decision. I was convinced that I needed a director, that I needed a God, that I needed a father, that I needed someone to boss me around, that I knew that self-will, the way that I had lived my life up until this point, the managing and fixing and controlling, and I'll just have a little bit of this and a little bit of that and anything, just don't need me to be totally sober. Like, is there any way that I could just hang on to just a little bit of it? I'm grateful that the women in my life said no. I don't care what they told you at rehab. I don't care what they tell you at IOP. You can do this. It is possible. That's what the first 100 did. Half measures availed nothing. Not half, nothing. If I half measure, I get nothing. That's what I was trying to say before. If I'm not here doing these steps, seeking God, helping other people, I can expect to receive nothing in this program. And if up till now you've received nothing spiritually from this program, I'm here to tell you, it's you, boo. It's not the program, because we've been around, these 12 steps have been around 90 years. And there's millions and millions of people who are following these steps faithfully with the guidance of someone who's had this experience, and they're winning at life. And what does it look like to win? You know, it looks like 8 hours sleep a night and birds chirping and me not running the other way. It looks like admitting when I'm wrong and being wrong. It looks like stepping outside of God's will for my life and having tools to get right back in. It looks like being enclosed in a fellowship of women and men who are seeking the very best that we can hope or think or imagine. That I surround myself with people who are not over being sober, who want to hear the truth, who want to hear, hey, I think you're moving in the wrong direction. My sponsor's famous for saying, this is going to feel like an ouch, but you have 30 more seconds to feel sorry for yourself, and then I'm pulling you off the pity pot, because we never spiral up. I'm no longer a victim. My story's the same. I was still abused. I still grew up in a violent household. Nothing's changed except that I'm victorious instead of being a victim. And that happened because God found me where I was at and lovingly pulled me through these 12 steps and gave me victory. You know, the book is clear. I am in the world to play the role that he assigns. If that's not okay with me, then I got to drink and drug more. That's it. Go use. I don't know what else to tell you. If it's not enough for you that you are in this world to play the role that he assigns, then you're not done. Because this God that we find in this book, all powerful, all loving, all knowing, right? This is the God that we find when we sincerely take such a position and we're humble and honest enough to try. That's what it's telling me. So I got into this work and something miraculous happened. I was able to see where I messed up and how I kept getting in my own way. You know, I was able to see that it wasn't them, it was me. That although people were wrong and bad things happened to me, my response and my hanging on to them as if for dear life to use them as an excuse to act like an asshole was over, unless it wasn't. And if it's not, then they'll gladly refund me all of my misery. all of my misery. And I had a lot. When I got here, I was completely unemployable. I've had 67 jobs in my entire life, and that's a lot. I kept getting fired or just not showing up. Things didn't go very well for me. Stuff would get hard, and then I would just decide that I didn't want to do it anymore. I don't know if anybody else can identify with that, but um, so that was, I don't know. I'm looking at this book because I was looking to find something. It's amazing to me. I was looking to I'm looking to find something that I wrote a long time ago. So if you're familiar with the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, then you're familiar with the Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. If you're not, I'm going to help you out. Page 59 says that God is the one with all power. Page 68 says he's infinite, he's a just judge, and he's a reliever of fears and a provider of serenity and courage. Page 69 says that God is the giver of patience and tolerance. And page 50 says he's a peace giver. He's our happiness. Page 63 says he takes away your difficulties and he grants you peace. Page 43 says he's your defense. Page 46 says he can't be defined or comprehended. Page 28 says he's a living creator. Page 25 says he's a miracle worker. Page 46 says makes easy terms to be in a relationship with me. Page 85 says he has all knowledge and can bestow on me inspiration. He is faithful, page 181. I can place everything in his hands on page 120. He's my director, my father, my employer. That's page 62. On page 63, it tells me he's the giver of freedom and he holds my peace of mind. Page 76 says he removes my defects. And page 49 says he's all powerful, guiding creative intelligence. I don't know about you, but this God is a God that I need to know better because everything that this book said he is for me. And then some. That's the key. That's what these steps are steps to. So if you're not doing it, you're nibbling on the gun, but you're not really here to receive the full measure of what God has for your life. I was broken. I was deceived. I was living in a way that was beneath savage. And through these steps and this fellowship and the willingness to give my life to this, I got a life. In another book I read, it says, he who's afraid to lose his life, who holds his life, who loves his life, who guards his life, will lose it. But he who loses his life, for God's sake, will find it. And I have lost my life. My life, what I thought, who I thought I was, what I thought I wanted, all of it. I laid it down because it was killing me. Everything I thought I knew was killing me. My personality was killing me. The stories I was telling myself were keeping me sick. And I'm grateful that I came into a fellowship where a woman said, if you want what I have and you are willing to go to any length to get it and you are willing to take direction, I have a way out. And I am not who I was. And that's what this book is about. This book isn't about, this is not an extension of your IOP. This is not where you come while you're watching TV to think about something else. That's not what this is about. This is life-saving, life-changing. If you're an addict or an alcoholic and you're on this meeting at 5 o'clock or 5:30 or whatever time it is by you on a Saturday night, because you can't go to the effing bar anymore, because you can't hang out with those people anymore, because you can't do what you used to do anymore, because if you do that, you'll die. If that's what you have, if you have what I have, this is the way. This is the way to every single thing you've ever prayed for your entire life. This is the answer to the prayer you prayed when you were 11, when you thought the pain would never stop. It's here now. Right now. It's here now. The answer is yes. Can I get better? Yes. Can I be free? Yes. Will I ever know love in my life? Yes. I came in here. I got married in AA. I buried both my parents in AA. My brother OD'd and I was in a 12-step fellowship, AACA, working as I was under. All of the things happened. My sister was diagnosed with cancer. People who were close to me got sick. And my reaction was to love and to go. I was at a meeting the day after my mom died. There's nowhere else. You have nowhere else to go. We've tried everything else, but if you're an alcoholic and an addict and you really want to get over it, you might be asking yourself, what do I have to do? It is the point of these meetings in this book to answer that question specifically. The war is over. The war is over. We win. If you're here and you thoroughly follow this path will lead you to a God that will solve all of your problems, who will comfort you when you're lonely, and who will lead you to other people who need your help. That's it. And so even though my selfish behind doesn't always like sponsoring women or doing the hard things, I got 1, 2, 3 sponsees on this call here. You know, once you say yes, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, but these are indispensable. That talks about that in the spiritual, in the spiritual experience section of our book. These are indispensable. You can't do it without it. You can't do it without it. You can't do it alone, and you can't do it without it. And you got to keep doing it. And I mean, this is the joy of my life. My husband's sober 40 years. I'm sober 19 years. There are people on this call that I've met in person, that I've loved on in person, that before Zoom I never met. We've managed to meet up and be together, and and we made it a point to. I've met Terry and Gina and Regina and Nikki and Val. I mean, these were people that, and Daniel, these were people that I've only seen on squares. I have a host of friends, and they all tell me the truth. Michelle, I don't know if I met you in person, did I? I will soon, right? And Stephanie, and I hope to meet all of you, Anjani. I hope to meet all of you in person. This is real. This is real. But this illness is fatal. And it will never, ever give up. It will never give up. So I can't give up either. I wake up every single morning and I come out here and I greet God. There's a man that my husband sponsors, and I love what he says. He I don't know how long he's sober, long time. And he says every morning, ever since he was in detox, he heard this somewhere, and he would get up and he would pull out a chair. And I think Nicole's on here. She told me that too. Pull out a chair for God. And he would sit every morning like I do. I wake up every single morning, and the first hour of my day is just sitting with God. Upon awakening, I consider my plans for the day. I ask God to direct my thinking. Goodness, I'm so sorry. I don't know if you can hear that. I ask God to direct my thinking, divorcing me from dishonesty, self-pity, self-seeking, right? You know why? Because if I don't, I'm going to go right into dishonesty, self-seeking, and self-pity. That's why. I do what the book says. Like I said, I have a good relationship with the God that I found here. A beautiful relationship, and I'm a member of a church. It says it in the book. Not all of us are members of religious bodies, but most of us favor such memberships. I'm one of those people who do. So I favor a membership at a church, but nothing compares to you, in the words of Prince or Sinead O'Connor, depending on how old you are. Nothing compares to sitting around with alcoholics or addicts who have been rescued from a hopeless state of mind and body, who are still so excited about, we don't know how we made it, right? And sit around and talk about God and what God's doing in your life. I mean, that's amazing. The book tells me that our common problem was what brings us together. It's definitely what brings us together, but it's only one element of the cement that holds us together. And what holds us together is that we have found a way up and a way out on which we can absolutely agree. And we agree that these 12 steps are steps to the life that I've always asked, that I've always dreamed of. Peace in my body and in my mind, and real presence. That when you're talking to me, I can actually hear you and look at you, and I'm not thinking about my hair or what I'm going to say or whether or not I'm fat or how much money you're making or whether or not I measure up. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just sitting, listening to you, wondering if you need my help. I have been changed and rearranged. Huge emotional displacements, right? The ideas and thoughts and attitudes that were once the guiding force in my life have been cast, thrown, like casting a fishing pole, cast to one side. And new ideas, emotions, and attitude take their place. And that's what's dominating me today, you know, dominating me today. So if you're in this 12-step fellowship and you're miserable, it's you, baby. It's you. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I have a sponsor who says, I don't care what happened to you when you were 4 years old. I got cancer. Let's move on. Let's move on. Do you want it or you don't want it? Because the thing that's blocking you is you. So I hope I brought a good recovery message. I hope I inspired you to get down, to come all the way in and sit all the way down. And I hope I inspired you to love and abandon yourself to God as you understand God. And let's do some Q&A because I love y'all and I almost made it. I don't know how many minutes.
You made it.
Thanks.
You made it.
God bless everybody.